This popcorn-style review contains scenes from another video. Sailor Moon SuperS starts off as the best season of Sailor Moon. It focuses not just on secondary characters and puts the focus on sort of the sidecast, but it actually brings back tertiary characters from earlier in the series, like Arcade Guy's girlfriend who went to Africa. And it puts a focus on them, and we get to see what they've been up to and how their lives are changing. And it starts off with a group of, aliens that come from the new moon, which is, I thought was the dark side of the moon. It's an asteroid, but they come from a fucking asteroid, and they're called the Dead Moon Circus. And they're looking for Pegasus, whose real name is Helios, because Helios is in possession of the golden crystal, which will allow their queen to basically be youthful forever and destroy the world and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Who cares? And the focus on the sidecast really makes the early parts of the season. And then at around episode 7, it goes sharply downhill, because instead of revisiting characters that we had seen previously, it goes through the same tired tropes of reintroducing new characters, and then we have to deal with their problems, and then they get their dream mirrors stolen, and it happens every season of Sailor Moon. The villains this time it starts off with 3 guys called the Amazons, who are trying to find the mirror, the dream mirror, the dreams that contain Pegasus, because Pegasus can only live in people's dreams. But the problem is we find out very early on that the dream that contains Pegasus is Chibiusa, and then we have to spend the next 30 some odd episodes before the villains come to this information. So there's no tension on, is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the one? How can they possibly top that one like they did in previous seasons? Instead, we always know that anytime they're not looking at Chibiusa, it's completely pointless. Another thing is that with the introduction of Pegasus, Sailor Moon gains the ability to basically enter into the Super Sailor Moon form whenever she wants, as does Chibi Moon, and then later on in the season, all of the Sailor Scouts gain the ability to enter a form akin to Super Sailor Moon as Super Sailor Scouts. The problem is that the Dead Moon Circus, by and large, is very obviously weaker than the Deathbusters ever was, and so it never feels like there's any reason for Sailor Moon to transform into Super Sailor Moon, let alone the entire cast to go super. There's never any tension in the entire season, and then I think somewhere around episode 20 or something, the 3 Amazons lose their powers and become normal people like we saw with Witches 5. And then what happens is they're replaced with a group of, I think 4 or 5 characters, 4 girls, I think, called the Amazonesses, which the name on that is ridiculous, but whatever, who are just so boring. Now, the Amazons had a gimmick where they would basically only hunt for people who they found attractive, and they all thought they were huge studs that could seduce anyone, and they'd go in there, and then they'd botch it up because of their terrible personalities. And it led to some comedy, even if it was still not great. But when the Amazonesses take over, it's just nothing to work with. And once you leave episode 7, the focus of the secondary and tertiary characters almost completely evaporates. And the entirety of the focus shifts almost exclusively to new characters no one cares about and Chibiusa. Now, I like Chibiusa more than the next person, but with just Chibiusa bouncing off of herself and a literal horse, there's not a lot to grab onto in this season. And by the end of it, you're just fucking tired of everything that is happening. It just wears you down of just endless nonsense. It is akin to filler and the lack of accomplishments that this season manages to put through. And the preview at the end of this season shows that Queen Nehelenia, the main villain of this arc, survives to the next season anyway. So by the end, this arc was pointless and it lasted way too long and wasn't interesting in the first place. Twitch and Discord in the description. I've been Sacrobolic, your Envoy of Hope. Bye-bye!